For the first phase, we have resting state. Axon membrane is polarized, negatively charged inside axon, voltage channel Na plus and voltage gated K plus channel are closed, yada 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 yada. All of this might be a little hard for you guys to digest, so I'm gonna use an animation, I guess, so you guys can imagine how actually it works. So the resting state is basically of the axon doing nothing. The inside of the axon is negative while the outside is more positive. And also, both of sodium and potassium ion voltage gated channel is closed. But there's this thing which you call sodium potassium pump to keep things balanced. As you can see, there's 3 potassium ion actively transported out of axon, while there's 2 sodium ion is actively transported into axon, and both of this process use ATP.
The second stage is depolarization. The presence of stimulus, which trigger the neuron, will open some voltage-gated Na+ channel. So the Na+ will diffuse into axon. The membrane potential will become slightly depolarized since Na+ ion is positive, so the inside will become less negative. The voltage-gated K+ channels will remain closed, and when depolarization reaches a threshold level which is about negative 55 MV, an action potential will be generated. The third stage is the rising phase of action potential, and this is the peak of action potential. Here, more voltage-gated Na+ channels will be open, so more Na+ will diffuse into the axon, which cause the membrane to depolarize further. Membrane potential inside the axon become more positive, and the action potential between positive 30 or positive 35 MV is generated. Fourth stage is the falling phase of action potential, which is repolarization. The voltage-gated Na+ channels is inactive, which means it is closed, and the most voltage-gated K+ channels is open, so K+ will diffuse out of the axon, which causes the inside of the membrane to become negative again. If K+ is out, it will become negative inside.
Then for our last phase, we have Hanisu-chan or hyperpolarization. After the action potential spikes up and comes back down, which is during phase 3 and phase 4, the voltage doesn't exactly stop at the resting level, which is negative 70 millivolt. It went lower than the resting potential for a short amount of time. This happened because voltage-gated K+ channel closed slowly, and it caused excess K+ to diffuse out from the axon, causing the inside of the axon membrane to become more negative than the resting potential. Then, sodium potassium pump and passive ion channel will work as usual, so it can help to restore the resting potential once again. Now we'll take a look on how to describe action potential based on this graph right here. Also, the first phase we have resting state, whereas the neuron doesn't do anything much. Moving on to the second phase, which is depolarization. This is when something stimulates it until it reaches this line, which is what you call a threshold or bare minimum, which is around negative 55 millivolts. And then moving on to the third phase, which is rising phase of the action potential, where the sodium gets open and Na started to rush in, and inside of the axon will turn positive. And then moving on to phase number 4, we got falling phase of the action potential, which is repolarization, whereas the sodium starts to stop moving in, rushing in, and potassium leaves, causing inside of the axon to become negative again. And then after this phase, we have phase number 5, which is undershoot or hyperpolarization, which is the part where the graph becomes lower than the resting potential. But don't worry, sodium potassium pump and passive ion transport will help it to reach resting potential once again. Then it's become a cycle. I hope you understand. Thank you.